Hi everyone, my name is Leanne and I'm not really sure what we're going to be talking about today. Recently I felt such an urge to kind of just sit down and have a bit of a chat with you guys because I feel like so much has been going on and I haven't really addressed a lot of it. Addressed makes it sound like it's super serious, like calm down Leanne, it's not that deep. But I just haven't chatted about it, haven't checked in with you guys in a while. I've been to a couple of bookish events recently, in particular a Booktuber Meetup in London, where it just made me realize how out of the loop that I've been with Booktube. There were so many amazing creators there that I had not met before, or I'd maybe only met once before. I mean, there was people who I'm really good friends with there as well, but it just kind of showcased to me how many new faces and new voices and new readers that there are in the Booktube community now, and I've just been very unengaged and out of the loop. And of course there were people that weren't at that gathering who also make videos, and it just really made me realize how out of the loop that I've been. So, if you have a Booktube channel and I'm not subscribed, please let me know down below in the comments. I'd love to check out what you're reading. If you want to recommend to me one of your favorite channels, a friend's channel, please do down in the comments. I've been making Booktube videos for maybe 8 years now, which is kind of mad. Of course the landscape has changed over that time, and not only has Booktube and the whole book community changed, but obviously I have changed a lot in that time as well. I don't feel the videos that I made 8 years ago or 5 years ago or even a couple of years ago really represent who I am now. And I think back on interactions I had with people in the book community that I had when I was 20, 21, and I'm just that girl does not represent me. I'm such a different person than I was when I was 20, 21, and it's very strange that people have access to my 21-year-old self via my Booktube channel. I love having this kind of diary of my life. I watch back old videos and I can pinpoint kind of what was going on in my life at that time, what kind of emotions I was feeling, what I was going through. I love having that kind of diary of my life through the lens of my reading. I think that's really cool. But I do also find it really strange, and I think the older I get, the more strange I find it, because I feel more and more distanced from that younger version of myself. Obviously people are always growing and changing, but I think the way you alter as a person, you progress as a person between the ages of say 20 and 27 is so huge. And I think when I first started my Booktube channel, it was a huge part of my life, and right now it isn't. It's not something that I make a huge amount of time to prioritize, which is why in the past couple years I have been quite unengaged with stuff. I've tried to keep up with people's videos as much as I can, but it's really difficult and it's tricky to keep up with new channels. I haven't really actively sought out new channels to watch, even though I've asked for channel recommendations, because I really do think there are of course channels out there that I would love to watch, but I've just not made the effort to kind of actively engage with the community. I'm really bad at replying to comments. I don't really get involved in kind of the social media side of things, where sharing videos and interacting on socials and that kind of thing. It's just I don't really have capacity for it. And at several points over, I think probably the past 4 years, I've contemplated leaving Booktube. One, because of I've just said, I don't necessarily have the time to commit to it as I had in years previously. But two, my work is also a factor. So if you don't know, I work in the publishing industry. I'm a key account manager at a children's publisher. I have a couple of videos where I've spoken about publishing, which I will leave linked if you are interested. I'm also always open to answering questions about how to get into publishing, what my role is etc. I don't really talk about my company or my role too specifically on the channel, just to give a bit of distance. I do talk about our books on the channel. If I've read one of our books in a month, I will include it in my reading wrap up, and I kind of put in this rule that I'll talk about them at the end of a video, and I will give a disclaimer that they are books that I've worked on. But I guess that intersection in the Venn diagram of my identities between a publishing professional and a booktuber, that just adds a little bit of complication that I continuously am trying to figure out how to navigate. My booktube channel is something that would get brought up in like interviews as well, and I think if I was ever going to like apply for a different job, I would not include like my booktube channel on my CV, which is like not what I would recommend for someone who's like entry level. Like, you definitely should, but I think for me it slightly became a bit of like a distraction. Like, I didn't want to be asked about booktube when I wanted to be talking about my like acumen as a salesperson. And also, if someone wanted to hire me because they think I'm like super savvy at like video production or social media or anything, one, that's like not my job, and two, I'm not. So I just found like that a bit of a distraction, and I find how, because they are both like bookish pursuits, they do naturally kind of blend and bleed into each other a little bit, and I try and like avoid that. And I could just not talk about books that we publish on the channel, but I do, because what this channel fundamentally is for me is like a diary of my reading. Like, I want to be honest. I want to be honest about like all the books that I've read in a month, and I want to be able to look back on it and it be an accurate like portrait of what my reading year was like. But I do think I need like more boundaries between like myself and my own life and my career and kind of my bookish reviewing platform. So let me tell you what the plan of action is. I'm going to be continuing to post videos on here as often as I can manage. I will try to be better at replying to comments, but that is not a promise I'm making you, nor is it a promise I'm making myself, because I'm trying not to put pressure on myself. But I promise you, I will try. What I am promising that I will do is I will get better at like making sure I watch people's videos. Like, I might not be able to like leave a super like thoughtful and nuanced comment, mainly because there's no thoughts up here. I am a vibes, not thoughts girl. In terms of my socials, Twitter, I don't really like Twitter, to be honest with you. I never post anything on it. I only really like retweet work stuff. So I think if you're interested in like the publishing side of things, then like give me a follow on Twitter. Like, everything is linked down below in the description. Where I am making quite a distinction is I've started a new Instagram account. I've had my Instagram account for like 10 years. And over the course of that 10 years, it has been like a personal account and a bit of a Bookstagram account. And like for a while I had this rule where I didn't follow anyone that I worked with, and I didn't want them to follow me. And like after a while that rule just seemed really silly. That Instagram account is now like a personal account. It's like just posts of like me and my friends and like me and my colleagues just like hanging out. Like it's a personal like Instagram account. Like, there's not gonna be bookish stuff on there. I have started a new Instagram account for the book stuff. So that is Leanne Rose Reads. It'll be on screen, and again, it'll be linked down below in the description. So if you are into the book stuff, I would really encourage you to go follow that, because that's where the book stuff is going to be. I found it a really nice environment so far. Everyone's been like super friendly on Bookstagram, and it's also just a way that I can be engaged with the bookish community and also engage with like my own desire to create stuff with books in a bit more of a like quicker, accessible way than making videos. So yeah, if you're on this channel, you're interested in the book stuff, I would really suggest you follow my new Bookstagram account. I also think in the past like year or so, I've just become like a lot more aware of my privacy and like keeping some stuff for me. So like, even if you follow my personal Instagram account, there will not be any posts of like me and my boyfriend. Like, that's something that I'm extremely keen to just like keep for myself, or keep as like a thing between me and him. Like, I'm not gonna be posting like cute couple photos. I love that it's just kind of like our special like private thing. But yeah, anyways, I decided to make this Bookstagram account like a few weeks ago, and I was absolutely loving it. Like, I was having so much fun with it, and then like so many elements of my life just kind of went to shit. I was really stressed out for like various reasons, to the point where like I became quite unwell. Like, you know, when you reach that kind of level of stress where you have like a physical like response to it. Like, I was at that stage, and like my work were amazing, my like manager was amazing. They were like, do not work, like you need to heal, which was great. And then I felt like I had got better, and then like the next week I had a week of annual leave booked. So I had this whole week planned that was like really focused on self-care. Like I deliberately chose like not to go on like a holiday abroad or anything like that, because I just really wanted to focus on like mindfulness and self-care and self-soothing and like repairing myself. And that didn't happen. For anyone that is renting in London at the moment, I'm sure you will have like a moment of solidarity with me. But basically, I currently live with 3 housemates. We get on like really, really well. For maybe 6 months or so, I'd kind of been thinking like, what was the next step for me, like living wise? I kind of felt like I was a bit done with the house share thing. Like as much as I adore my housemates, like I felt like I needed a bit more space, a house where I felt like a little bit more independent. Living on my own is just like crazy expensive, so I couldn't do that. And I was kind of thinking about seeing if there was someone I could get like a 2-bed with, and kind of went through various options of exploring that, and it like didn't work out. And as a house, we had this really stressful period where our landlord was putting our rent up by a significant amount of money, and we'd gone through a lot of stress to kind of figure out if we could make it work. We had decided that we were gonna make it work, accepted what the landlord had offered for the rent increase, our next contract renewal, and then he did a complete U-turn and is advertising the house for £600 more than we had agreed to, which is £1,200 more than we were paying in the past year. So we've all got to move out. So that has just been like a huge amount of stress, like us figuring out if we can stay as a 4, and the answer is no. Fortunately, I went into like super organized mode and I've figured out what I'm doing next. So I'm moving into a 2-bed, which is great because that's kind of what I had in mind as my next step. But just getting to this point has been so super stressful, and there is still so much to do in terms of like packing up this whole house and like the stress of just knowing like what a big job that's gonna be. So the very sad news is that we will be saying goodbye to these bookshelves. I don't get to take them with me. I take the books, obviously, which honestly the idea of packing all of these books up is a big amount of stress, but I don't get to keep the shelves. But I will be getting some more shelves, so maybe I'll do a shelf organization video when the time comes. Generally, I've found those like really stressful to film, and like the last thing I need right now is stress, but we will see. I feel like this is gonna be like a nightmare to edit because I've gone on so many tangents and so many like ramblings. Thank you if you've made it this far. If you have, leave me like a sparkly heart emoji. I don't really know if I spoke about everything that I wanted to speak about. I feel like the too long didn't read version of this video is like, I'm sorry guys, I've been really fucking busy for the past 2 years, but I'm gonna try be better. And can you follow my new Instagram account? Cheers. I don't really know how to finish this video now. How are you doing? That's so rude of me. I've like literally spoken about myself for like half an hour and I never asked how you were. What are you reading at the moment? Let me know that down in the comments. I'm currently reading Dating Dr. Dill and Ace of Spades, and it's just 2 very different vibes. Okay, that's it from me. I will let you guys go and get back to your day instead of me just shiting on for even more time. Subscribe if you want, follow my Instagram if you want, and I'll speak to you soon.